Gamer alert! Gamer alert! Only watch this video if you are a real gamer. If you have not played Checkers Party Quiz, get the fuck out of here.
Join me for Checkers Party Quiz, or who knows, I might come round your house.
This was a really good year for video games. I think every month had like a really good game coming out. There were a lot of masterpieces leaving early access, some really obscure indie titles. I got like a lot of respect that really warmed my heart to see. You know, there is a Marvel card game on Polygon's Best of the Year list. I'm gonna kill whoever did that. Pretty crazy year. However, I think a lot of masterpieces, you know, came out and then just nobody really cared about it. This was a really good year for indie games in particular, but it wasn't a good year for much else. And seeing games journalists scrape to the bottom of the barrel, putting Overwatch 2 on their list. Overwatch 2, more like Overwatch PU, Blizzard, you stink! It's not good. I don't like many of these Game of the Year lists. So I've decided to make the list of the games that I've played, most of which I think have not been getting the love that they deserve. And hopefully you get introduced to a lot of really underrated indie titles that I think deserve love among the community and never really got respect among games journalists. And, you know, maybe you should thank me somehow. Give me a couple $100, marry me, I don't know, that'd be pretty nice. Quick rules. Early access games that released fully in 2022 do count. They were in early access before, but they released in 2022, I'm counting those. And if you were in early access games that started early access in 2022, you also count. Fuck you, I don't care. Another rule, no Elden Ring. I'm not going to talk about it. You know it's good. You don't need to hear me tell you about how good it is. You're not going to gain anything from me telling you that Elden Ring is good. Alright, are you ready? Are you ready to go gamer mode? Are you ready for the true game discussion? Just kidding, here's my honorable mentions. Neon White. Neon White was almost a masterpiece. It's really well designed and fun to hop and dash around in, and it looks gorgeous, and it's so satisfying to get the perfect run and go fast. The story ruins it. Every character is embarrassing. I hate all of them. I hate the dialogue. I hate everything about that story. Whoever wrote that story, for the love of God, stop watching hentai. It's not helping your writing skills. It's making them worse. Nobody speaks like this. Other ones. Citizen Sleeper, Pentiment, Immortality. I haven't played any of these. They look really cool. I wanted to mention them because people will get mad at me if I don't, because they're really cool looking games. I just haven't played them. Top 10 time. Top 10. Number 10.
McPixel!
3.
The original McPixel was one of those games. And I mean, by those games, streamer bait. The type of game for PewDiePie and his knockoffs to play, laugh at, and go LOL so random at the screen. I played it when it first came out, when I was like a small baby child, and I immediately forgot about its existence for a good decade, because it wasn't really that memorable. Until I heard through the grapevine that the third game was coming out soon. And I was like, holy shit, did that weird hashtag random game from 2012 really age well enough to survive in a post-ironic age? Also, what the fuck was McPixel 2? I never heard of that, like, at all. For the latter question, we don't talk about McPixel 2. And for the former question, yeah, it did. I'm genuinely shocked about how regularly funny McPixel 3 is. Despite basically being like an hour or two more of the forgettable 2012 game, the threequel keeps a lot of the charm that the original kept, and has just a lot more good gags. It created a game that just kept a smile on my face the entire time. It is genuinely really, really entertaining. Kick people in the balls, eat bombs, piss on dogs. All of this combines to turn McPixel into the greatest immersive sim of all time. Finally, I can live the same life that I live in real life. This is a better life simulator than The Sims. Thank you, Mr. Sauce. Number 9 game, Who's Lila? I miss point-and-click adventures. I don't think I'm alone here. There have been a few big point-and-click games that come out this year, some of which have been praised immensely online, such as Norco or the new Monkey Island game. I didn't play either of those, but the 2022 point-and-click game I did play was Who's Lila, a really unnerving point-and-click adventure with a really cool gimmick. You see, your reactions aren't chosen by you. You choose how to react to different situations by contorting your main character's face into different expressions that fit each scenario. This, in combination with the game itself fighting back against your inputs, make for a really special and intriguing feeling of powerlessness, which is perfect for this type of surreal horror. There's a lot of really neat puzzles in here too that force you to think outside the box, and does some really cool programming stuff that you don't think I've seen any other horror game do. It reminds me a lot of I'm Scared, another really well-made horror game that excels in how it breaks the boundaries of the game itself. While some of the puzzles are utterly oblique, of course they are. It's a point-and-click adventure game, what the hell else do you expect? If you understand the puzzle, you're not playing the game correctly. If you want a really well-crafted blend of horror and point-and-click that can really easily get under your skin, check Who's Lila out. It's one of the best crafted horror games I've played in a long, long time, and some of the moments in this game still stick with me. Number 8, Orb of Creation. Idle games are interesting. I'm not going to say that all idle games are masterpieces, because holy shit, there's so much trash in that pile, but I think that they're mostly incredibly well-designed, addictive, and fun, and I think most people don't give enough credit to how addictive and well-made the format is, and how good a good idle game can be. Cookie Clicker is a genuinely really good game. I don't care what anyone says, I love Cookie Clicker. Orb of Creation is an incremental game. It's not an idle game, but they're very similar. But there is no idling, no offline profits, it's just you pondering your orb. And well, it's really fucking good. The satisfying nature of the incremental design is perfected here, while not feeling like the game is forcing me to grind like most idle games do. There's no microtransactions, no overnight collection, nothing to grind like most idle games have. It's just the really good addictive part, the feeling of numbers going up, the pure essential Skinner box, and it's incredibly satisfying. It is game design torn down to its bare essentials. Collect resources, pay for upgrades, get more resources. Words, 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 punchline. In a game design world that seems to force in as much UI garbage and unneeded side quests and collectibles for no good reason, it's nice to see a game that finally understands how the simplest of games can be just as good, and honestly even better. Number 7 is Sylvie Lime. This is a game about being a lime. I don't know what else to say. It's a lime game. Lime time. Lime zone. It's for the lime heads in the audience. I know you guys really love limes. To be more specific, Sylvie Lime is a game developed by one of my personal favorite indie game developers, one Sylvie Fluff, whose adorable tough-as-nails exploration platformer design always worms their way directly into my cat-loving, nightmare platformer adoring heart. You probably know her most for the endlessly quotable Cat Planet, but even that one's not that popular. She's a really underrated game designer. I think she deserves a lot more love. Cat Planet in particular is fucking great. This is her big release for the year. Each year she usually has one big game that always seems to get into my Game of the Year list without fail. Because Sylvie has a very similar game design philosophy to that of Orb of Creations, that simplicity is always best. She has one big gimmick in each of her games, like this one, turning into a lime that lets you fly around and bounce super fast, and that's it. That's all you need. And this philosophy of cute, simple platformers with one really cool gimmick is truly a delight to see in a landscape of AAA microtransaction-filled nonsense. There's also a really adorable narrative about a bunch of lesbians developing the game you're playing. It's about as simple as the game itself and not really that special, but a tug on my heartstrings, a shocking amount. It's really cute, really sweet. I liked it a lot. It's a game that's excellent and fun and really tough, but it's still one that I'd recommend to a lot of people. If you like these types of platformers and want, a cute, short video game you can beat in a day or so with an adorable little story and cute game design, it's fun, I'd recommend it, and I think it deserves your time. Number 6, Vampire Survivors. This game's fucking huge. It's huge to the point that it's basically invented its own genre of auto-attacking, wave-based arcade games. It's a game clearly inspired by Toho's bullet hell nonsense. Is that how you pronounce it? I don't know. That, in and of itself, inspired its whole genre of bullet hell games, so I guess that makes sense that this would invent its own genre of games. However, I really do not believe that any of the knockoffs that have come after Vampire Survivors release comes anywhere close to the pure game design perfection that this game has. We are currently 3 in a row for really simple games that addicted me for fucking hours on end, and Vampire Survivors is by far the simplest and by far the most addictive. There is nothing to it. It's just, oh, you walk around and it auto attacks with weapons that you select to destroy all the people invading your little zone. You know, don't let them touch you, they'll hurt you, you gotta survive as long as you can. There's not that much to it, but it feels like an endless puzzle box that just sucks players in despite that. And its simplicity, readability, and replayability are what makes Vampire Survivors, in my eyes, so special. Because none of the games that knocked it off managed to hit that level of quality. Vampire Survivors is an incredibly chaotic game where hundreds of enemies are invading you and throwing lasers and attacks, but it never feels overwhelming. I always know where my character is, what their attacks are, and what their attacks do. Each weapon is so incredibly well explained and designed, so that the moment you pick it up, you will immediately know how it works. Its game design is so masterful, it's only compared to games like Tetris or World 1-1. It's that good. It is immediately readable. You know exactly what's happening, and that's hard as fuck to do in a game that looks like this. Its loop is endlessly addictive. I played hundreds of hours of it over the past year. Even though I've 100% completed it like a few weeks ago, I'm still playing it. It has incredibly positive reviews for such a simple and cheap to make game, and that explains, you know, why so many people don't understand what makes its simple game design so appealing, decide to rip it off. But in my opinion, Vampire Survivors is on a league of its own. It is perfect pick up and play action, comparable to maybe Binding of Isaac, and that's it. It is a genuine arcade shooter masterpiece. Number 5, Taiji. When Taiji first got released, I got an early review code by the creator Matthew Bendabenter, and then I immediately forgot about it and never made that review. I'm sorry, Matt, I stole 30 of your dollars. But thankfully, I guess we got to it eventually. Whatever. Taiji is a gorgeous top-down puzzle game about drawing blocks under different rules to solve puzzles that lead to other puzzles. It's very clearly inspired by The Witness, another utterly gorgeous game covered from wall-to-wall and block-based puzzles, but Taiji's mechanics are different enough that I can't call it a ripoff outside of the basics. Being a puzzle game, it's hard to really describe why I liked it so much. I mean, it looks good, the audio is really beautiful, and the puzzles are very well designed. They gave me that aha moment nearly constantly, the most important moment of any puzzle game. While many of the early environmental puzzles felt like, you know, baby game shit, by the end there were a lot of brain teasers that took me hours to fully work through. It's really, really well made, and despite being an open world, its difficulty curve still felt perfect. Outside of one puzzle near the end, I was never really stuck, and that shows something for a game so goddamn tough at times. It teaches you the mechanics really well without explicitly saying anything. I'm not going to spoil the endgame content, but I will say that a lot of the final optional puzzles to get the true ending are the fucking worst, and I really would have loved some extra help or guidance with those. But outside of that, all the puzzles were really good, and the ones I didn't like were optional anyways. I didn't know what to do or where to start them, and it ended up leading to me like having to look up a walkthrough, which I hate doing in puzzle games. Outside of that, great game, Matt. Sorry about the review code thing. Do you want $30? I'll give you $30. Number 4, Betrayal at Club Low. Finally, a new game by Cosmo D, the genius behind the Norwood Suite and Off-Peak City, two of my favorite games of the years they were released in. If you like strange and surreal worlds with a good bit of absurdist comedy attached, Cosmo D's games are for you. They are gorgeous and designed with the utmost care. D has created a universe over the course of just a few games that feels like it was built over the course of decades. It's really incredible how much great world building is in his works. His newest game, Betrayal at Club Low, is a delightfully strange point-and-click adventure game. Hey, it's another point-and-click game that utilizes dice to decide whether or not you pass its many obstacles. There are 6 skills to choose from, ranging from normal, like, you know, charisma or intelligence, and then there's ones that are really strange, like cooking and music. Those aren't normal skills. What the hell? Each skill is its own 6-sided die, which you can upgrade, and then during specific moments, compare against other people's dice rolling. If you beat theirs, you pass a check and get some money. It's inspired heavily by actual tabletop RPGs, an interesting diversion from Cosmo D's usual first-person adventure game fare. Its obvious comparison point is Disco Elysium, which, makes sense, it has a similar dice-rolling mechanic, but Club Low's particular vibe and sense of humor really radiates with me and ends up creating a special experience that sucked me in the whole time. There are 11 different endings to the game, but 2 of them are fail states, so it's really just 9. Each ending depends on how well you roll your way through Club Low's many obstacles, and combining that with endless possibilities on how you build your character creates an incredibly well-rounded and well-designed RPG in the span of about a couple hours. If you want a fun, weird, whimsical adventure game that allows you to choose your character in a way that doesn't feel overbearing, check Club Low out. It is the most fun I've had with an RPG in years. And it's only just like a few dollars, so you have no excuse. You gotta check it out. Number 3, Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. I'm sorry about this one. I know it doesn't count. It's just a remake, whatever. It's Stanley Parable 2. It's just Stanley Parable 2. It is a sequel to the original inside the original game. I refuse to say anything about this game because I am deeply afraid you have not checked it out, thinking it's just a remake of the original. It's not. It's not. And I really don't want to spoil any of the bits in this game. It is strange, it is weird, and hilarious. Each passing moment blew my mind more than the last. It is genuinely impeccable how much stuff they crammed into this game, and how much of it still feels completely new, even if some of it is literally just the original game again. If you liked the original or just strange absurdist comedy games in general, this is a must-play, and it's probably the best written game and the funniest game of the year. Also, there's a bucket, so check that out. I'm a big fan of buckets. Number 2 game of the year is Patrick's Parabox. Patrick's Parabox is genuinely a masterpiece of puzzle design. Despite the fact that its gimmick is utterly fucking insane and mind-destroying, it is so well designed that each mechanic is introduced like it was always there in the first place. Its difficulty curve is genuinely perfect. Comparing it to, say, Baba Z, another excellent puzzle game with a similarly brain-melting gimmick, it's incredible how well Patrick's puzzles are designed in comparison. I'm not saying Baba's puzzles are bad, but its puzzles are often really dense and hard to get a grasp on, especially in the later game. Patrick's Parabox, however, oh boy, its puzzles are perfect from beginning to end. Its gimmick is that it's a simple suck-a-bon game, a game where you push boxes around to their goals, but most boxes you can enter and are in and of themselves levels. Put one of those levels inside themselves, trippy. And it just builds on it from there in ways that I did not expect at all. I did not feel stuck once, even on puzzles that took me genuine hours to figure out. I had a perfect understanding of every mechanic and gimmick right as they were introduced, and the way it built upon these mechanics over their stages is comparable only to early Mario platformers. It's that well designed. It is on the level of Mario. Despite the fact that this is one of the most insane and devilishly difficult puzzle games in years, I fully believe I could show it to my grandma and she'd understand exactly what was going on. She'd probably have a harder time than I did, but she wouldn't feel cheated or lost, This is one of the few games I 100% completed this year, and it was completely worth it. Each puzzle made me feel so happy with myself, especially in the later stages. It was so satisfying to beat every level. If you like games that twist and bend your mind, I could not recommend Patrick's Parabox more. And finally, the number 1 game. For me, 2022 was the year of the immersive sim. Not many came out this year, really, but I was obsessed with them, and my exploration of the genre this year led to me discovering some of my new favorite games of all time. It is the perfect genre if you're like me and love player freedom, choice, and experimenting. My other favorite genre is the puzzle game, like the previously mentioned Patrick Parabox. I love games that mess with my brain and force me to solve a dastardly level with very little information. Both of these are genres that need pitch-perfect game design, letting you feel free while not being too lax, creating tough puzzles that don't make you want to rage quit, creating a good difficulty curve. If you do both of these things and utterly master them, you might have a truly wonderful games on your hands. Mindthunk, the 2 first-time game developers making Control-Alt-Ego, did exactly that. It boggles my mind how nobody's talking about this game. Outside of a couple reviews when it dropped and a Let's Play series by SB, there has been no coverage on it. And it seems like it's going to languish into indie obscurity forever, which sucks, because this is one of the greatest games I have ever played. I'm not joking. And not only that, I'm not alone here. Like, I'm alone in my crazy iterations, but every review I've seen of this game praises it immensely. Multiple people calling it the greatest indie game to release in years, especially in the long-forgotten genre of the immersive sim. Control-Alt-Ego is a game where you play a bodiless consciousness, hopping from machine to machine, collecting ego, the meter of your consciousness, and exploring a hostile spaceship that has been invaded by a parasite that sucks the ego out of your machines. Your main companion in this journey is Bug-22, a robot with a disk drive that allows you to upgrade multiple skills with collectibles scattered about the map. This allows you to basically endless opportunities to upgrade your bug however you want to upgrade it. Do you want to fly endlessly, get a drill, be able to shift heavy objects around, teleport, get a gun, get grenades, turn things into bombs, teleport other objects? This combined with you being able to control enemy robots if you have enough ego stored up, you can do whatever the fuck you want in this game. It is crazy. Maybe you control a pup, a tiny bug that is seen as harmless as hostile robots but can't really do much, or a mum with an incredibly strong laser beam that costs an insane amount of ego, or control none of them and stick around as your main bug, or maybe, violently murder them. It's up to you. It is the perfect combination of endless freedom and player choice that reads as the intended option no matter how you play. This, combined with a unique puzzle-solving aspect that I don't think has been seen in other immersive sims, turns Control-Alt-Ego into a truly unique experience that I have not seen in any other game. And that's not even getting to the endlessly compelling mystery that you end up trying to solve and the really funny dialogue laced throughout this game. As spoiler-free as possible, the main goal you're set at for most of the first few hours of the game, killing the parasite, is just the end of the first act. This game is huge. It is not only huge, but utterly incredible during its entire runtime. The fact that this massive immersive sim that stacks up against games with huge crews of people was just developed by like 2 guys with an incredibly tiny budget is insane to me. And seeing it go unnoticed to me really hurts. I hope this video convinces people to play Control-Alt-Ego, because this game deserves so much more than what it's getting. It is a genuine, honest-to-God indie masterpiece. And that's my top 10 games of 2022. I haven't played a lot of games that people really loved, and even purposely cut out most of the heavy hitters, but I think that Game of the Year lists are honestly kind of scams. Only the most popular and heavily advertised games will get nominated and listed, which fucking sucks. Games like Control-Alt-Ego that didn't have much advertising or spread gets completely nothing, despite its insanely high quality. And games like Overwatch 2, Horizon 2, or Sonic Frontiers, these other AAA pieces of shit that think that more stuff plus underpaying employees equals better, just get ignored. It fucking hurts. So I wanted to make this mainly to talk about games that I think deserved a lot more. I've always been obsessed with the obscure and underrated, and I think that this list should help people get into some of the best niche indie titles of the year. Ones that never really got enough love. I'm Rebecca Kimple. Thank you for watching, and good night.